Naruto, Rise of the Darkest Shinobi Force, Episode 41, The Guy Who Doesn't Measure Up. Boom! With a loud bang, the hard and heavy earth dragon crashed into a jungle in the distance, making a piercing crashing sound. When the impact stops, everyone was shocked to find that the land had been knocked out of countless cracks. 7 or 8 large trees around them fell to the ground with a bang. The leader of the dark department glanced at it, turned his head, and roared anxiously, "Be careful, Naruto Uzumaki doesn't know where to go." He never thought that dealing with a teenager in his tens would be so difficult, and even dangerous himself. When the members of the Root and Dark divisions heard this, they quickly turned back to back and looked around vigilantly, for fear of Naruto Uzumaki's sneak attack. "Hey, you bastards who don't know where you came from, is it necessary to be so careful?" A lazy voice suddenly came from the 2 Root members who were back to back. The pupils of the 2 Root members shrank sharply, and they quickly looked over. But when they looked over, there was surprise in their eyes, because where the sound came from, they did not see the shadow of Naruto Uzumaki. "Idiot, I'm right here." Naruto's lazy voice came from the empty air. In the gazes of dozens of ninjas, Naruto's palm stretched out from the air, as if a palm appeared out of thin air, aiming at the 2 ninjas. 30 bound Dao, mouth suddenly 3 flashes. In an instant, the golden light flashed, and the dazzling golden light formed 3 shining substances like spikes. "What's that?" One of the 2 ninjas who was back to back said suspiciously. The other ninja walked forward warily, but before he could take a step, the 3 rays of light pierced their bodies like 3 meteors. Pung! With a loud bang, the bodies of the 2 ninjas were penetrated by the substance formed by the golden light at the same time, firmly tied together. Damu, Chingha. Seeing this scene in the hands of the Root members, their pupils shrank sharply, and they roared anxiously. "Ahem, hound, we're okay." In the midst of many anxious eyes, the 2 ninjas coughed dryly, and said in pain. The substance that pierced their bodies, I don't know what it was as hard as King Kong, and they couldn't break free no matter how they struggled. Seeing that his 2 subordinates were okay, the leader of the Root members breathed a sigh of relief, and then his face turned ugly again, and he secretly cursed in his heart. "Damn it, it's actually sealing. If it is normal ninjutsu, even if they are strong, they will have the power to fight. But the sealing technique, they rarely even heard, and they fought with nonsense." Tuanzong took a deep breath, looked solemnly at Ape Fei-ri, and asked, "Sarutobi Hinata, did you teach Naruto Uzumaki the sealing book?" Ape Fei-ri shook his head with an ugly face. The 3 sealing techniques he gave to Naruto were just ordinary seals and did not possess the ability to attack. Naruto's sealing technique displayed in this series, he had never heard of it. "Damn, the old man will go there in person," Tuanzong said with a gloomy face. "Get up and walk outside the office." He could see that with his subordinates, it was very difficult to capture Naruto Uzumaki. And Naruto Uzumaki is now covered with a 9-tailed chakra on his body, and it is difficult to guarantee that the 9-tailed chakra will not run away. The 3rd Hokage shook his head and pointed to the picture in the crystal ball and said, "Wait, Yamato shot." Although the wooden dun mastered by Yamato is also a wooden dun, because he is not a member of the Senju clan, the wooden dun that can be played is extremely limited, and it is not even 1/10 of the original Hokage. But in this case, suppressing Naruto should also be more than enough. Tuanzang's movements paused, and then looked solemnly into the crystal ball, only to see a dark part, clasped his hands together, and shouted, "Mudun 4-pillar prison." In Naruto's palm for 4 weeks, 4 thick wooden pillars rose from the ground and connected to each other to form an unusually hard cell. And when the wooden pillar was formed, Naruto's figure also appeared from nothingness. The ninjas of 4 weeks were all relieved to see this scene, and they all had a headache in the face of Naruto's powerful speed and the strange way of hiding. However, when they were relieved, the corners of Naruto's mouth curled slightly, and his hands grasped the pillar. Click, click. A heartbreaking sound rang out. Yamato's eyes widened as he watched Naruto crush the wooden escape cell little by little and walk out of it. Is this still human? With just his hands, he crushed his wooden dun. Naruto lowered his body slightly, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and suddenly rushed out. 9 broken wheels. Binding road number 4. This rope. 30 bound Dao, mouth suddenly 3 flashes. A series of 7 or 8 binding paths instantly imprisoned the bodies of the Root and Dark members. Unlike sealing, the Dao is more bound to the soul. Therefore, those who are proficient in illusion may still be able to break free, but obviously none of the people present have illusion. Boom boom. Naruto's body was like a black panther, constantly shuttling among many people, punching and kicking continuously. Naruto's fist, as if cast of steel and iron bone, no matter how those members of the dark part Root resisted with chakra, they were still beaten and spit blood in their mouths, and their bodies twitched on the ground. Go and die. Looking at the leader of the Root members who were stunned, he didn't care if he would kill Naruto, and the angry one took out the kunai and rushed over. Don't measure yourself. Naruto's eyes showed a hint of mockery, and he reached out and aimed his hand at the leader of the Root members. Bound road number 39 round gate fan. Click. The weapon of the leader of the Root members slammed into the blue defense, making a crisp cracking sound. Looking at the broken kunai of his hand, the pupils of the leader of the Root members shrank sharply. However, without waiting for him to react, Naruto's hand grabbed him directly on the head and slammed it on the ground. Boom! A large pit was smashed out of the ground, and the leader of the members of the Dark Division fell to the ground with a bloody face. Episode 4. The Shimura Danzo Attack. What's going on? What's going on? The ninja who was defeated by Naruto Uzumaki, but retired from the battlefield, why was he defeated so easily? Ape Flying Sunchop, you have to give me an explanation. Tuanzang's eyes were full of anger, and he stared at the Ape Flying Sun and roared. Naruto Uzumaki had such a powerful power out of thin air, and if it weren't for Sarutobi Hibiki's plan, then the matter would have been serious. Ape Fei shook his head bitterly. Ask him? He was all confused. I'll go over in person. Tuanzang angrily left such a sentence, and strode towards the door. This time, Koharu and Mizuto Menyen did not stop Danzo. They also wanted to see what kind of strength Naruto Uzumaki could exert. If Naruto Uzumaki, the strongest tailed orc pillar power, could not be controlled by them, they don't mind a new person. At this time, Naruto Uzumaki, who was in the forest, glanced around at the ninja who fell to the ground and kept moaning. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, he walked to Yushien's side. Hey, Naruto Uzumaki, what are you going to do? Looking at the smile on Naruto's face, Uzuki Shien fought a cold war and asked vigilantly. She knew Naruto, and as long as Naruto showed this smile, it meant that someone was going to be unlucky. Don't be so vigilant, I can't eat you again, Naruto said with a grin. It's just that I suddenly found that I have a strong talent for sealing techniques. Shien, can you teach me some of your sealing techniques? You have a talent for sealing? Yu Shien's face was skeptical. She knows the talent of the word, such as the Sunset Clan is good at illusion, and the Chimu clan is good at sword art. But sealing? As far as she knew, only the exterminated Uzumaki clan in the entire ninja world had this talent. Thinking of Naruto Uzumaki's name again, Uzuki nodded his head with a smile, and after thinking about it, threw Naruto a scroll and said, there is a sealing technique on it, learn it yourself. Naruto's eyes lit up and he quickly took the scroll. When he first saw the ninjutsu on the scroll, Naruto was a little envious. It is worthy of being the dark part directly ruled by the 3 generations of Hokage, and even Yuyen, who does not use ninjutsu much, has 34 ninjutsu. When he saw the ninjutsu clearly, Naruto was even more surprised. Thunder ninjutsu can receive. Ninjutsu of the healing department can also be received. In addition to this, there are 3 different sealing techniques. Naruto couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of spit, and was the first to learn these 3 sealing techniques. Congratulations to the host, the strength of the ghost path has increased. Expand, number 60. Listening to the sound of the system, Naruto was even more surprised. 3 kinds of seals allowed him to master the binding path within the 60 number. If the same death sealing technique, the Ghoul Sealing Society, will it directly reach the 90 number? Unable to help but lick his lips, Naruto turned his gaze to Lei Dun and the healing technique again. The attribute of Yushien seems to be thunder, so there are many thunder ninjutsu, and if you count carefully, it occupies more than half of more than 30 kinds of ninjutsu. System, fuse thunder for me, Naruto said silently to the system in his heart. In an instant, countless rays of light flashed in the system. Thunder dragon killing magic in the demon tail world, thunder fruit in the pirate world. When the light stopped, Naruto was surprised to find that the fusion of thunder ninjutsu was actually the breakthrough of the Shinigami world, and it's within 40 of the broken road. And the next healing technique is also a return to the world of the god of death. It's just that it's not as good as binding and breaking the way, and the return path is only within the 20 days due to the lack of fusion healing ninjutsu. Looking at what he had gained, Naruto couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. This is really, almost equivalent to mastering most of the abilities of the Grim Reaper world. You must know that the god of death, in addition to the soul-slashing knife, is the strongest ghost path. And now, the 3 abilities of Oni Dao have been mastered by him, and Naruto can now unceremoniously say that he is already half a Shinigami. Thinking of this, Naruto looked at Yamato a little greedily, and then shook his head again. What Mudanshu needs, he does not have for the time being, and it will take a while to control Muduan. But this is enough. Naruto raised a smile on his face, looked at Uzuki Shien and said, you really helped a lot this time. Please eat another day. Yu Shien quickly shook her head, her face was a little red, and she complained in her heart. I think of your naked body as soon as I see you now, let alone eat. Naruto was not surprised, and walked out of the forest with a smile on his face. He wanted to try to see if the ability to return could heal Uchiha's water injury. If Uchiha can move, even if he doesn't write chakra, then he is also an elite shinobi who can help him do a lot of things. And at this moment, Naruto's face turned cold, quickly took a few steps back, and stretched out his palm to aim at the jungle in the distance. 46 of the binding path, Luo Ghost Disc. With a boom, an iron disc that looked like Hell Azura appeared in front of Naruto, and his mouth opened wide, as if mocking the enemy's powerlessness. At this moment, a fierce wind surged from the forest, slamming on the iron plate like a cannonball, making a shrill sound. Naruto didn't care about the cold wind, and looked deep into the forest, and his eyes couldn't help but show a smile. Shimura Danzo, I didn't go looking for you, but you came to me first. Episode 43. Xingxing suppresses Shimura Danzo. Naruto Uzumaki, you are so daring. You actually dare to do evil in the village. Hurry up and give up resistance for me. Tuanzang's figure walked out of the jungle, his eyes full of anger. Stinky old man, you are worthy of taking care of me, Naruto said with a sneer. He had never seen Tuanzang, and he had no grievances with this old man in the past, and he had no enmity in recent days. However, Naruto knew that the other party had been thinking about the 9 tails in his body. In addition, Uchiha was seriously injured and the Sharingan was robbed, all of which are masterpieces of this guy. So from the beginning, Naruto didn't have much affection for this guy. Humph. The arrogant imp died early, Tuanzang said coldly. Without waiting for Naruto to speak, Danzo sealed his hands and quickly ran towards Naruto, spitting out a violent cold wind from his mouth. Wind escape vacuum jade. For Tuanzang's wind escape, Naruto did not dare to be careless. You know, the power of this wind escape is not much compared to the 4th generation of Laying AI's Thunder Dun. 9 tails, Naruto shouted in his heart, his body instantly covered with a layer of tailed beast chakra, and 3 tails fluttered behind him. After covering the tailed beast chakra, Naruto's body became extremely light, raised his right hand and began to chant, "O King's Landing! Masks of flesh and blood, everything that flutters its wings, what bears the name of humanity? Scorched heat and chaos, across the sea against the south, step forward, broken path number 31 red cannon, boom." In an instant, a chakra cannon that resembled a fiery red meteor shot out from Naruto's palm, destroying Danzo's wind escape with devastating pressure. This is. Tuanzang's pupils shrank sharply, thinking that this was the tailed beast cannon. But after feeling the power of the red cannon, it didn't feel right, and the tailed beast cannon of the 9 tails had the ability to destroy everything. And this fiery red chakra cannon in front of him is a characteristic that burns everything. After thinking for half a day, Tuanzang still couldn't imagine why. He had to look ugly and wanted to bypass the red cannon. How could Naruto agree? And instantly fired 3 red cannons at Danzo with a smile. Up and down, left and right, all escape routes into Anzo were blocked. And even if he was not hit head-on, the aftermath of the red artillery might have seriously injured him. Thinking of this, Tuanzang's eyes showed a trace of irritation, and his chest rose high, highlighting a cold wind that was bigger than before. Wind escape vacuum super jade. Boom, under this powerful force, the red artillery and the wind escaped together. At this time, Tuanzang's face was already gloomy and scary. The vacuum big jade just now was already his best ninjutsu, but he still couldn't help Naruto. Unless he uses. Tuanzang touched his eyes hesitantly, eventually gave up on the idea. Once the other god uses it, even it will take him a year, or even years to recover. And the hypnotic object is only Naruto Uzumaki, which is really not worth it. Danzo made up his mind and no longer hesitated, jumping with a shuriken in hand, trying to get close to Naruto. 40 ways of bondage, anti-void. Naruto, wrapped in the 9-tailed chakra, was not afraid at all, raised his hand and sent a binding path. And it seemed that even the space had changed under this binding path. Tuanzang was shocked to find that he was obviously walking forward, but he didn't know when he walked backwards. Before Danzo could react, he saw Naruto's figure appear in front of him. Danzo's face changed drastically. He didn't expect Naruto's speed to be so fast, and he took 2 steps back in a panic, and quickly sealed his hand. Wind escape vacuum wave. Danzo opened his mouth, and a cold wind like a whip shot out, slamming towards Naruto's body. Everywhere the cold wind passed, it was cut in 2. However, Danzo's face was extremely ugly, because he found that Naruto in the 3-tailed state, chakra could leave the body. Crimson Chakra's paws slapped overwhelmingly on his wind. His wind escapes had no effect at all. 36 of the broken path, Skyfire Pendant. Naruto was in a state of rapid galloping, with a smile in his eyes, did not chant, and directly fired the 36th broken road. Suddenly, a blue flame fell in the sky like a meteorite. Boom! After the furious blue flames hit the earth, they instantly swallowed the surrounding soil and set off a thick smoke. Yu Shiyan was dumbfounded. If others don't know, can she still not know? Fighting Naruto Uzumaki is none other than the leader of the Roots, Shimura Danzo, a strong man of shadow level strength. Naruto was able to maneuver around this level when she was fighting a strong man of this level, which really refreshed her worldview. Tuanzo will be fine, right? In Hokage's office, Koharu and Mizuto looked worriedly at the smoke center. The blue flame just now smashed, not far from Tuanzang. Sarutobi did not answer. With an unusually ugly face, he called Kakashi and asked him to investigate. Has Naruto contacted anyone recently? At this moment, from the overwhelming gray mist, a pitch-black group came out. I saw Tuan hide his body, and many places were burned red, staring at Naruto angrily. It actually made him lose such a big face. Even if he wasn't for the 9 tails today, he had to teach Naruto Uzumaki a good lesson. Naruto Uzumaki sensed Danzo's anger, and his figure flashed, standing indifferently on a tree, and the 9-tailed chakra boiled again. Episode 44. Ninjutsu that died together. 9 tails, I need more strength this time. If I don't get it right, it will be a little out of control. help watch the point, Naruto said lightly in his heart. Tuanzang's strength is not weak, or it is not weaker than the ape flying sun slash, plus the whole card is not a heavenly god. The 4 elephants are sealed, even in the face of the ape flying sun slash, maybe it has the ability to win. He wants to gouge out Uchiha's chakra eye on Tuanzo's body, and he can only play with his life. The Ninetales heard it and snorted and said, "What does it matter to me? At most I don't promise you not to make trouble. What does it have to do with me if you die or not?" A smile appeared at the corner of Naruto's mouth, and he did not refute the words of the Ninetales Tsundere. A faint thank you. The Tsundere Ninetales hesitated, but still said, "It seems that you do have a talent for sealing. I have a sealing technique here, which was left by your mother, but it is useless, so I will leave it to you." As he spoke, the Ninetales passed a sealing technique to Naruto. It is not a powerful sealing technique, just a sealing technique that can seal a trace of an image. At the same time, in Danzo's eyes, Naruto's body was gradually wrapped in a black chakra, like a black ball. With a roar, the black chakra dispersed, and Naruto's body in it turned blood red, and 5 tails gradually appeared behind him, constantly waving. Tuanzang and Ape Flying Sun chopped, and after seeing it, they gasped in their hearts. That's a big deal. The chakra of the 9 tails and 9 llamas completely ran away, and Naruto actually had 5 tails. Tuanzang's eyes revealed a touch of solemnity, as well as deep irritation. In his opinion, if Sarutobi handed Naruto Uzumaki over to him, he would definitely train Naruto Uzumaki to be a knife in Konoha village. And now, Naruto Uzumaki is not only a little out of control, but also violent at this moment. Damn Ape Flying Sun, after this time, I have to bring Naruto Uzumaki to the roots, Tuanzang scolded angrily. Then he removed the bandage on his arm, revealing an arm inlaid with 7 or 8 chakra eyes. In the face of Uzumaki Naruto in this state, although he does not know what his strength is, it is definitely useless to use the wind to escape. Mudun Violent Gun Tree. Danzo pressed one hand on the ground, and the thick roots began to spread along the ground, winding around Naruto. Mudun. On the side, Yushien couldn't help but shout out, "The wooden dun mastered by the original Hokage, Tuanzang actually will." When Naruto saw it, he just sneered. Mudun Jin is so ferocious. If it were not for those chakra eyes in Tuanzang's hand to continue his life, I am afraid that if he used it once, Tuanzang would have returned to Shiten. But Naruto didn't care. He in the 5-tailed state could barely control it with his body and will. Like a beast, Naruto was extremely fast. With the roots alone, it is impossible to catch up with him at all. And the blood-red chakra behind Naruto stretched out 4 or 5 blood-red claws and grabbed it overwhelmingly towards Danzo. Boom, boom, boom. Every claw that landed on the ground would set off a violent explosion, like a thunderous explosion. The ground cracked, and cracks spread wildly in all directions, almost destroying the small forest. Tuanzang secretly cursed in his heart. Where did he think that Naruto had such fierce strength in the 5-tailed state? If this claw smashed on his body, judging by the powerful power, I am afraid that he would only choose to use his Anaji. Naruto sneered in his heart when he saw Danzo with an ugly face, knowing that in the 4-tailed state, Naruto would be able to fight against Orochimaru, a group that is good at wind escape, although the attack power is very strong, but the defense can only be described as hee-hee. Suddenly, Naruto's arm quickly stretched, and his blood-red claws spread almost 100 meters, and he slapped Danzo with a slap. What? Tuanzang, who had never seen such a trick, changed his face drastically, and retreated in a panic. Boom! Naruto slapped his paw on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Wind escape, wind chaos. Looking at the dust in front of him, Tuanzang looked ugly, and used the wind to blow the dust away. Then his pupil shrank sharply, and he saw Naruto Uzumaki, who was originally in the distance, disappeared at this time. Where are you hiding? Danzo took off the bandage on his face in a panic, revealing Uchiha's chakra eyes that stopped the water, and looked around in panic. At this moment, there was a boom on the ground below Danzo's body, like a small 9-tailed demon fox vortex Naruto, breaking through the ground. The chakra entity turned out to be so difficult to deal with. Tuanzang shouted out in shock. At this time, he finally understood why the human pillar force was more difficult to deal with than the tailed beast, because in the violent state, the chakra of the tailed beast plus the wisdom of the human increased the threat greatly. Looking at Naruto Uzumaki, who was close at hand, a trace of viciousness flashed on Danzo's face. Regardless of the use of Kiki, a towering tree instantly spread out from the arm with the Sharingan, wrapping not only Danzo, but also Naruto Uzumaki. Mudun Tree Root Explosion. Seeing this trick, Naruto's eyes were unfazed. This trick he had seen was a ninjutsu that died together, but Danzo could rely on his Anaji to dodge. Die! Danzo roared loudly, but just as the roots of the tree were about to entangle him to death, Naruto struck, stretching out his blood-red claws and aiming them at him. The thundering carriage, the gap of the spinning wheel, this thing has a cluster of light and divides into 61 rods of light. Episode 45, Gouge out one of your eyes. 6 Canes Light Prison. Click. 6 light plates shot out of nowhere, emitting a dazzling golden light, together with the trees. Tuanzang, who had been clipped off by trees and his thighs, widened his eyes in disbelief. His death. it was actually stopped. The 6 light plates that penetrated his chest, although they did not harm his body. But I don't know why, Tuanzong couldn't move at all. Tuanzong struggled painfully, desperately smashing these 6 light plates with his hands, not only because of restraint, but also because of pain. A small part of his legs and body had already been shattered, like the pain of 1,000 cuts, making Tuanzang's voice extremely miserable. Tuanzong, the ape-flying son who was sitting in the Hokage building, stood up in shock. He knew Tuanzang's ability, but it was precisely because he knew that he felt even more shocked. Half of the body was shattered, and this injury was logically impossible to live, but the Tuanzo that was penetrated through the body seemed to have penetrated even the soul, and it was impossible to reach death. Quick, hurry up and save people, ape-flying son roared loudly, and his body ran out of the Hokage building first. Although he doesn't like Tuanzang, Tuanzang can really help him deal with a lot of shady things. And once Tuanzo dies, the people at the root will also die at the same time. Konoha can't bear this consequence. Naruto couldn't see Danzo, the corners of his mouth hooked, and his blood-red claws instantly shot over. Abominable. Seeing that he couldn't break free, Tuanzong cursed loudly, and his hands quickly froze. Wind escape vacuum Daio. Naruto's chakra claws were directly smashed into pieces by the wind, but Naruto didn't care, and the blood-red chakra on his body spread wildly, showing several claws. 63 locks. Before the claws were about to hit Danzo, Naruto took the lead in shooting a golden chain from his hand, wrapping Danzo's hands tightly together. Danzo screamed in pain, and under Naruto's blood-red paws, a bloodstain was scratched near his eyes, and the flesh and blood disappeared at the same time. Sensing the kaleidoscope Sharingan in his hand, Naruto was overjoyed. In the end, Tuanzong is too greedy, and Naruto was also gambling, betting that he would not waste a single use of other gods for himself, and it was clear that Naruto had bet right. Danzo is reluctant to use other heavenly gods. Naruto then grabbed Danzo and ran quickly through the jungle. Naruto, under the 5 tails, coupled with his strong physical fitness, instantly lost his trace in front of Uzumaki Shien and the others. After running for a while, Naruto looked at the unconscious Danzo in his hand, and a hint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. But after thinking about it, the killing intent in Naruto's eyes gradually disappeared. He wasn't sure if the binding Tao could keep Tuanzong from being resurrected, and if he guessed wrong, he would be facing Tuanzong in a complete state. Today's harvest is enough. 9 tails. Naruto shouted to the 9 tails in his heart, "Take back your chakra and inject it into one of my shadow doppelgangers." After hearing this, the 9 tails nodded lazily, took back the chakra on Naruto's body, and said, "It seems that you really want to leave the village." Naruto raised a smile on his face and said, "Of course, I don't have much to get while staying in Konoha, so I might as well go to other villages." After the 9 tails agreed, Naruto separated the 2 shadows, and the doppelgangers were all injected with the 9 tails chakra, and then chanted to the 2 doppelgangers. The white puppet that runs rampant in the sky, the night elf that runs rampant in the night, everything is like home. Blessings of the 12th way of return. On the bodies of the 2 shadow doppelgangers, a dark iron-colored light flashed. After doing all this, Naruto threw the Danzo in his hand to one of the shadow doppelgangers, and he strode towards the river where Uchiha stopped. The shadow avatar with the 9-tailed chakra has a certain ability to resist fighting. After blessing the ability to return to the path, as long as it is not seriously injured, the shadow avatar will not disappear, and even if it is about to disappear, there is another shadow avatar to replace it. And when the ape-flying son came here and found the situation in the jungle, he couldn't help but gasp. Covered in blood, almost dying, Naruto Uzumaki, whose body was extensively burned and fainted to the ground. What to do? Koharu and Mizuto Menyen looked at each other and asked Sarutobi Hinata. Sarutobi took a deep breath and said, "Kill Danzo. He has the forbidden art of the Uchiha family. He will not die." And then bring Naruto Uzumaki back. Treat it first and then talk about it. Originally, Sarutobi thought that Naruto Uzumaki had deliberately seriously injured Tuanzong, but seeing this tragic state on Naruto Uzumaki's body, he was a little unsure. At the same time, Naruto Uzumaki plunged headlong into the water under the extreme run. When he swam to the passage, Naruto strode inside with a smile on his face, holding a kaleidoscope Sharingan and saying, "Stop the water, see what I brought you back." Episode 46. Chance encounter with Tsunade. This is Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Although Uchiha stopped the water and was blind, when the blood chakra also came to his side, Uchiha still felt it. "Yes, it's your chakra but I don't know much about surgery." For a while, Naruto held up the kaleidoscope Sharingan, and before the words fell, he saw Uchiha Shisui's face in surprise, and grabbed his Sharingan. Uchiha stopped the water and grabbed the kaleidoscope riding wheel directly stuffed it into the eye socket, and with a move, the kaleidoscope riding wheel was installed. Is it as simple as you Uchiha family members to put an eye on a pile of blocks? Naruto said speechlessly. If ordinary people have their eyes gouged out for a few years, their blood vessels should have dried up a long time ago, and the people of the Uchiha family are indeed a group of monsters. Naruto-sama, this is really my Sharingan, I can feel the power of the pupils. Uchiha didn't care about Naruto's complaints, looked at the scene of Zhou, and said in surprise. After a few years, he actually saw it again. Of course, I grabbed this from Tuanzang's body, Naruto said with a hook at the corner of his mouth. For this reason, he deliberately scratched half of Tuanzang's eye socket. And Tuanzang's face changed greatly after discovering that the chakra eyes on his face had disappeared. There was no time to look for Naruto's stubble, and quickly rummaged through the grass. He cannot have other chakra eyes. But Uchiha Sharingan, that is the strongest illusion technique of the Uchiha family, other heavenly gods. However, after searching for nothing, Danzo can only think that Naruto is in a state of tail beasthood, and the temperature of his body is too high, and he burns the Sharingan. I had to glance at the fainted Uzumaki Naruto with a cold gaze, and then grabbed Uzumaki Naruto's body in big strides and walked towards the root. Very good, stop the water, give me all the thunder sealing technique and healing ninjutsu you have mastered, and then accompany me out, Naruto said with a smile on his face. Previously, the ninjutsu that Shisui gave him could not be fused, but now that he has obtained the ability to fuse, the ninjutsu mastered by Uchiha Shisui just comes in handy. Uchiha nodded, writing down the ninjutsu he had mastered silently, while looking at Naruto in confusion and asking, Naruto-sama, didn't you go to Danzo to settle the account? Naruto pouted, looking for Danzo to settle the score? Thanks to this guy for speaking out. You must know that the strength of Tuanzang is a stable shadow level, and now Sarutobi Hinata is still alive, as well as sleeping Koharu and Mito Menyen, plus Mat Kakashi, which is equivalent to 6 shadow levels. 10,000 steps back, Mat Kai and Kakashi won't do it. However, the regiment has the 4 elephant seals as a killer weapon, and the ape flying sun has the ghoul seal as a killer weapon. Then there is no reason why Koharu and Mito Menyen, who are at the same time as Tuanzo, do not. With him alone, coupled with Uchiha Shisui, who is half disabled, wanting to find 4 shadow level games is simply delusional. After memorizing the ninjutsu written by Uchiha Shisui silently, Naruto picked up Uchiha Shisui and ran towards the outside of the village. This direction is. Uchiha looked at the direction Naruto was driving and said with some surprise, Naruto-sama, the direction over here is Yunin village, what are you doing over there? In Uchiha's opinion, Yunin village and Naruto Hachiko can't fight together. In that case, why did he suddenly think of going there? Lei Dun, I want the book of seals of their village, Naruto said lightly. Lei Dun fused the broken path of the god of death world, and it is also the strongest ability in the ghost path, and it is the only way to improve the strength as soon as possible. Although Uchiha was a little puzzled in his heart, he did not continue to ask. For him, Naruto Uzumaki gave him a second life, a benefactor to whom he would be loyal, and whatever the benefactor wanted to do, he just had to do his best to help. Time passed like a white horse, and 3 days passed in an instant. Naruto, on the other hand, stopped in a town near Yunin village and looked at a woman with blonde hair, wearing light blue, and a gambling coat written on the back in the distance. Really fake? Can this be touched? Muttering in his heart, Naruto stretched out his palm and chanted, the heart of the south, the pupil of the north, the fingertips of the west, and the toes of the east, gather with the wind, and disperse with the rain. 58 of the binding road chasing sparrows. Ugh! A light flashed strangely in the air, and in an instant, the situation of the entire town appeared in Naruto's mind. When he saw the appearance of the blonde woman in front of him, Naruto covered his face speechlessly. What a coincidence. The granddaughter of the first Hokage Senjukuma, Tsunade. Unexpectedly, he accidentally bumped into it. Naruto-sama, what should I do? Want to bypass this village? Uchiha asked as he stood on Naruto's back. If you want to pass through this village, you are bound to run into Tsunade, and Shisui's own appearance has changed greatly in the past few years, but he is not worried about being recognized. But Naruto, with blonde hair and 6 beards, was so recognizable. No, let's go over. Naruto shook his head unexpectedly, then wiped his hair with his hand. Bound road number 3, makeover. The color of the hair changes to blue, gradually grows to waist-length hair, and the pupils change to sky blue eyes. His beard was cut off, revealing a clean and tidy face, and after doing all this, Naruto casually grabbed a light blue open-collar robe, put it on, and strode towards Tsunade. Uchiha looked at Naruto in shock, and he found that after Naruto's change, even he couldn't recognize it. Episode 47, Shy Tsunade. Her Royal Highness the beautiful princess, I never thought I would meet you here. Naruto walked over without hurry, a sun-like smile on his face, as if he and Tsunade were old friends who had known each other for many years. Aha! The little girl next to Tsunade was stunned for a moment, and then shouted in horror. There are still people who know them in the Land of Thunder, and Shizune can only think that it is the debt collector who has come over. What? Tsunade turned his head vigilantly, ready to flee at any time, but when Tsunade saw Naruto's appearance, a hint of doubt rose in his eyes and asked, what are you? I don't think I ever owe you money. With long blue hair, blue eyes, and a sun-like smile on his face. Tsunade felt that he would never forget it if he saw it once. Princess Senju of Konoha Village, you may not remember me, but I have been looking for you for several years. Naruto stepped forward with a smile and said politely. The water stop on Naruto's back was stunned, and then reacted, shook his head with a wry smile, lowered his head slightly, and cut off his Sharingan eye. You know I'm from Konoha, what are you looking for me for? Tsunade asked warily, holding Shizune behind him. After looking for her for a few years, did she come to seek revenge? She did kill a lot of enemies on the battlefield, and if someone came to seek revenge, it could be said. Naruto raised a smile and nodded at Tsunade and Shizune behind Tsunade, dissolving the water behind him. Shizune blushed and hid behind Tsunade's back, looking at the handsome young man. Long blue hair, blue eyes, and that cheeks, so handsome. When Tsunade heard this, he glanced at the girl who thought of spring. However, he also had to praise Naruto Uzumaki. Not only long blue hair and blue eyes, whether it is the face or the chest leaking from the collar, you can praise it. This is a flawless handsome guy. After Naruto Uzumaki dissolved the water, he said with a sigh, Princess, this is my brother. When I was practicing ninjutsu a few years ago, I didn't master chakra well, and I fell from the mountain and fell into this look. I've been looking for you for several years, just to ask you to see if I can treat my brother. Listening to Naruto's words, Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be healed. It's a pity that she has decided not to treat anyone anymore. Even so, Tsunade still glanced at the water stop. This look did not matter. Tsunade's expression suddenly became solemn. A few steps forward and touched the body of the water stopper. 5 ribs were broken, although they had been treated, but all of them were crooked, and the hand bones and leg bones also had different degrees of bone cracks, which, Tsunade frowned, shook his head and said, I'm not sure this injury can guarantee that he won't die, but if it is not treated, there will be no problem in 10 years, you guys go back. Your Royal Highness, I know that your kindness is directly proportional to your appearance, and I will never sit idly by and ask you to treat my brother. If successful, I will give you 100 million as a reward. Naruto stepped forward and said with sadness in his eyes, don't look at me with that look. Tsunade said with some embarrassment. Under the public, being stared at by a handsome guy with such eyes, even she was a little embarrassed. Tsunade-sama, 100 million. With this 100 million, we can pay off most of our debts. Shizune was on Tsunade, tugging at Tsunade's clothes behind his back, and said with longing, Smelly girl, you see that the handsome guy has softened his heart. Tsunade turned his head and tapped Shizune's forehead and said. Shizune ate pain, covered his head and said aggrievedly, where is it? It's just that with that 100 million, we don't have to hide in hiding. Tsunade pondered carefully. It was true. As long as there were 100 million, he could pay off most of the debt he owed and gamble to his heart's content. However, Tsunade still hesitantly looked at the wound that stopped the water. The bones were crooked and needed to be broken again, and in this process, there would definitely be blood. Princess, Naruto stepped forward again, almost sticking to Tsunade's body, looking at Tsunade with sadness in his eyes. Tsunade stiffened and looked around sluggishly, and at this time, there were already many people watching on the street. It's all criticism of her. For example, how to lose the family, such as how to abandon the family and leave. Come with me. Tsunade's face was full of helplessness, grabbed Naruto's palm, and quickly led him towards the side alley. Walking to a small house, Tsunade stopped and said lightly, I can promise you to help you treat your brother, provided that 100 million, and you guard the door, no one is allowed to enter. A flash of joy flashed across Naruto's face, and he quickly nodded. Episode 48. Slept Tsunade. Soon, Naruto heard a bone-breaking sound outside the door, crisp and piercing accompanied by a harsh scream, like a piercing feeling of cold water poured on the slope. Stop the water. Naruto shook his head slowly. When Uchiha was rescued by him, he only had one breath left, and it was extremely good to be able to survive, let alone the bones. However, it is estimated that with Tsunade's treatment, it will not be long before he can regain his former strength. After half a day, the screams finally disappeared. Of course Naruto knew that this was not a good treatment. It was completely that Uchiha fainted in pain to stop the water. Plop! At sunset, the voice inside finally disappeared, and Naruto hurriedly pushed the door and left. In his eyes, he was covered in blood, but Naruto let go of his heart, because although Uchiha stopped the water and looked miserable, his breath was dozens of times stronger than before. Instead, it was Tsunade who was worried, lying curled up on the ground, his body trembling. Didn't you say not to let you in? What are you coming in for? Tsunade asked, looking at Naruto warily. With a kind smile on his face, Naruto draped his clothes over Tsunade's body, handed over a jug of wine and said, Everyone has weaknesses, but there is no need to be so nervous. With me here, no one can hurt you. Naruto said this with great confidence. In terms of his strength and the state of complete control of the 5 tails, it is not weaker than the general shadow level strength at all. Even if someone from the Shao organization came over, under Naruto's desperation, no one could hurt Tsunade. Tsunade sighed in relief in his palm, glanced at the bloodstained water, and walked weakly towards the house. Naruto smiled and walked into the room with Tsunade. Inside the room, Tsunade didn't say a word, grunting and drinking to suppress the fear of blood in his heart. Naruto didn't have anything to do while staying, and simply drank with Tsunade. After all, he was not in a hurry. As long as Naruto of Konoha village remained in a coma, no one would be able to detect him outside. Soon, Tsunade was slightly drunk and lay down on the ground and slept. Naruto also stretched lazily, grabbed a quilt, and slept against it. It's not that Naruto doesn't want to do anything. It's really that even if Tsunade is asleep, the slightest touch of him will cause the other party to wake up instantly. Early the next morning, with an excited smile on his face, Uchiha pushed open Naruto's door and said in surprise, "Naruto die, people." Looking at the scene in front of him, Uchiha was instantly dumbfounded, swallowed a mouthful of spit, obediently hung up and closed the door, and he was leaning against the door, his heart pounding. Naruto-sama actually slept with Tsunade-sama. Don't. Uchiha didn't dare to think about it anymore, and walked towards the door with some difficulty. If Tsunade really knew Naruto for a long time, then it would be fine. If not, it would have to fight for a while. Tsunade-sama, Dawn. After Uchiha stopped the water and left, Shizune pushed the door open excitedly, and the little girl couldn't help but be happy when she thought of the reward Naruto was about to pay. But after she saw the scene in the house, Shizune's face turned red, she screamed, covered her face, and ran quickly into the distance. The screams woke Naruto and Tsunade, and the two sat up sleepily, and when they saw each other's appearance, they suddenly fell silent. What is this situation? What happened last night? The two people wearing only underwear looked at each other. Naruto felt a little toothache. He figured out that after mastering the ghost path, his aura was not like a ninja, but generally more like a ghost, which ordinary people could not detect at all. So Tsunade seemed to treat him like a stuffed animal last night. Ahem, Princess Tsunade, you put your clothes on first, Naruto said with some embarrassment. These two people sat on the bed, looking at each other, and there was a strange look at them. Tsunade got dressed as usual with his usual expression, then walked to the ground, clenched his fists, and looked at Naruto with a smile. Boy, don't you think you have to give me an explanation? She didn't even know what the name of this kid was, and as a result, this kid put her to sleep? Although his body was not touched, Tsunade's anger was still burning like the sun on a March day. I can't wait to crush Naruto's bones. I'm here to take care of you, Princess Tsunade, and there is absolutely nothing that a master can do. Naruto said awe-inspiringly. He didn't even take off his pants, but his upper clothes were unfastened, and absolutely nothing happened. Boom! Tsunade's angry punch smashed into the bed, and with a loud bang, the bed was directly smashed to smithereens. Naruto's eyelids jumped, and he quickly put on his clothes and said, Princess Tsunade, even if you want to beat me, do you have to wait for me to get the money? Tsunade reacted to this kid still owes him 100 million. At that moment, his eyes spewed fire, he clenched his fists, grabbed Naruto's shoulder with his left hand, and said, Boy, stay here we'll settle this account later. After speaking, Tsunade walked out the door with his eyes spitting fire. His clothes were still stained with water-stopping blood. After wiping the blood stains from her clothes, she had to find Naruto desperately. Episode 49. Tsunade with extreme anger. Naruto saw Tsunade get up and leave, and without hindering, he smiled slightly, stretched, and walked towards the door. Naruto-sama, I'm really sorry for breaking your bank. Just as Naruto was about to step out of the gate, Uchiha's figure walked out from the side, and said with shame, in the past, the Uchiha family had a big business, and 100 million was nothing at all. But since Uchiha was exterminated, even the house has been recycled by 3 generations of Hokage, let alone money. Naruto waved his hand nonchalantly, then looked at Uchiha and grinned. You really think I'm rich? Huh. Uchiha was suddenly stunned. Naruto laughed loudly, and his figure was like a wild goose honpung, constantly jumping on the trees, running towards the direction of Yunin village. His father and mother didn't leave him a penny of money, and he couldn't save money on weekdays, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it was a clean breeze with 2 sleeves, and where there was money, it would be paid to Tsunade. Uchiha smiled bitterly, glanced back at Tsunade helplessly, and secretly said in his heart, Tsunade-sama was a loss this time. Not only did he endure hemophobia to save his life, but he also slept with Naruto-sama for one night, but he couldn't get a penny. Secretly apologizing in his heart, Uchiha then turned around and quickly followed Naruto. While Tsunade was washing, he suddenly moved, reacted, and a trace of anger arose in his eyes. Damn bastard, you can actually make me not react. Tsunade suddenly thought that if Naruto Uzumaki was really an ordinary person, how could she not be aware of it? You must know that when she is resting in the battlefield, even if a mosquito flies by, she can wake up instantly. Naruto is a big living person, how can she move less than a mosquito? There was no time to clean the blood stains on his body. The master went to run quickly and returned to the room, and suddenly his face was dark with anger, and he saw that Naruto Uzumaki was really gone, along with clothes. Shizune, hurry up and chase me, you can't let that little bastard run, Tsunade shouted angrily. Still contemplating the beautiful future, Shizune was stunned, and couldn't help but be held in his arms by Tsunade, and quickly ran towards Yunin village. After running for a long time, Tsunade finally saw Naruto in front of him, and he was even more angry. It was actually a young man with short blonde hair. "Boy!" Tsunade roared loudly, and the figure rushed towards Naruto like a brute, throwing a punch, and without saying anything, he smashed towards Naruto's back. "Come so fast, too smart to please your husband." Naruto shook his head helplessly, and then his figure changed, turning into a purple-haired youth, turning his head with a chuckle. "The bones of the beasts, the spires, the red crystal steel wheels, the movement of the wind is the end of the wind, the sound of the mutual attack of the spears is overflowing the void city. 63 of the broken path, thunder roar cannon." As he chanted, Naruto's hand seemed to appear as if a light formed by golden thunder appeared, like thunder in the sky, hitting the ground in front of Tsunade. Boom! With a deafening bang, the land in front of Tsunade seemed to have been hit by a meteorite, and it generally made a rumbling cracking sound. Countless stones were smashed and flew up, turning into a wall of dirt and blocking Tsunade's face. "Boy, with such strong strength, you are really lying to me." Looking at the earthen wall in front of him, Tsunade roared angrily. Originally it was seen that Uchiha Shisui was blind in both eyes, and his body had no traces of being treated by ninjutsu. Tsunade only thought that Naruto and Uchiha Shisui were merchant rich, plus Naruto's promise of 100 million, she was also treated. Now seeing Naruto's strength, he suddenly felt a burst of anger in his heart, as if he had been betrayed by someone. Naruto couldn't help but grin and say something that made Tsunade furious. "A stupid woman like you is just too easy to trust others, so she will be deceived. Boy, I'm definitely going to kill you." Heavenly Keep. Tsunade's angry and corrupt kick shattered the earthen wall and rushed towards Naruto. 6,200 steps of the binding road. Seeing Tsunade close in front of him, Naruto grinned, reached out and a blue stick appeared in front of him, aimed it at Tsunade and threw it out. Oh! The blue stick split against the wind, instantly turning into dozens of blue sticks, piercing Tsunade's body and pinning it to the ground. Tsunade reached out in anger and crushed the sticks one by one, and Naruto didn't care, laughing. "Tsunade, we'll meet again, let's sleep together then. You dare to mention this stubble." Tsunade looked at Naruto angrily. She only thought that she had been tricked by Naruto and deliberately slept with her and took advantage of him. Naruto was not surprised, turned his head and carried Uchiha's body on his shoulder, waved his hand, and instantly disappeared in front of Tsunade's eyes. Click, click, click. Tsunade crushed the binding railing nailed to his body a few times, looked at Naruto Uzumaki's back in anger, and yelled, "You can't run, even if you escape to the ends of the earth. I will find you out and beat you to death." Episode 50. Thunder Shadow of Gas to Explosion. Naruto-sama, you can be regarded as offending Tsunade-sama miserably this time, and it is estimated that the next time we meet, you will have to fight hard. Carried by Naruto on his shoulder, Uchiha said with a wry smile. Naruto laughed loudly and said, "Why don't you think about the next time we meet? Tsunade doesn't even have a chance to fight hard." Out of Konoha, Naruto had a sense of freedom in the sea and the sky with birds flying, and even dared to put some cruel words. Uchiha shook his head helplessly. Tsunade-sama is already a shadow-level powerhouse. If he tries hard, Uchiha Shisui only thinks that his other gods and Susanoo can resist one or two, and it is really difficult for Naruto to have that strength in a few years. However, Uchiha didn't say much about stopping the water, and only focused on using weak healing ninjutsu to restore his body. After a long time, Uchiha stopped his face solemnly, pointed to the village in front of him and said, "Naruto-sama, in front of us is Yunin village, where those reckless men gather. Shall we investigate?" Uchiha Shisui had fought with the people of Yunin village, and their tough bodies made Uchiha Shisui a little headache. "Don't have that time, get ready for a fight," Naruto said with a grin. The Book of Seals in Yunrin village is different from the Book of Seals in Konoha village, and the Book of Seals in Yunin village has always been placed in the Thunder Shadow building, and if you want to take it out, you will inevitably fight, and it doesn't matter what to explore. There are a lot of people coming and going in Yunin village, and the people in the village are fine. If they are people outside the village, they must register and enter after some investigation. "Stop, who are you two?" When Naruto and Uchiha stopped the water walking into the village, two strong men who were 1.9 meters tall shouted and said, "We are foreign merchants and have been here many times." Uchiha stopped and said, the one-eye kaleidoscope chakra turned and instantly hypnotized the two strong men. The two strong men were stunned, then nodded, sat back at the table and said, "Then two please come in." Naruto couldn't help but tick the corners of his mouth. Uchiha Shisui is worthy of being the strongest illusion ninja in the Uchiha family, and an ordinary illusion can hypnotize two middle ninjas. This method is afraid that Uchiha Weasel can't do it. After Naruto walked into the Kumo Shinobi village, Tsunade and Shizune rushed over like a gust of wind. The two strong men were stunned and stepped forward to stop them. "Stop, you are." Boom. Tsunade punched the two strong men away, looked at Yunin village with fire-breathing eyes, and cursed, "Wong begs AI, I was kind enough to save you, you actually hurt me, get out of here for me." As he spoke, Tsunade walked angrily towards the Thunder Shadow building and smashed the door with a kick. When Naruto heard this, he involuntarily showed a look of schadenfreude. He is not a ninja of Yunin village, and he is unlucky to be considered Thunder Shadow. Naruto-sama, what are we going to do next? Uchiha looked at Tsunade's back, a sense of foreboding rose in his heart, and he hesitantly looked at Naruto. Go get the Book of Seals. Naruto licked the corners of his mouth and said with some excitement. Yunin village can also be called Lei Ninja village. Most of the masters are Lei Dun. He naturally learns Lei Dun ninjutsu. Uchiha's eyelids jumped, and his face showed a look of wanting to cry without tears. He never dreamed that Naruto's words about sealing the book were actually true. At present, the 4 generations of Reikage, Yaokarabi, plus Tsunade-sama, there are 3 shadows, and they go to get the Book of Seals in full view. Even Uchiha has no confidence to stop the water. Naruto ignored it. Like a dexterous spirit fox, he quickly shuttled through the trees, towards the Thunder Shadow building. Uchiha smiled bitterly behind Naruto's back, touched his kaleidoscope chakra eye. His pupils were strong enough to use once other Tenjin, as well as Susanoo. However, when you fight, I am afraid that you can barely deal with the 2 shadows. What a headache. As soon as the figure moved, Uchiha quickly caught up with Naruto and came to the vicinity of the Thunder Shadow building. At the same time, Tsunade and Lei Kage fought fiercely, especially Tsunade's merciless fist, which beat Lei Kage to the point that his nose was blue and his face was swollen, and he was desperate to death but did not dare to fight back. Stinky girls, you're sick, aren't you? Did the old man provoke you? Lei Ying scolded sadly and indignantly. He once owed Tsunade a big favor, so when he didn't face life and death, he didn't dare to fight back. But such a beating also made Lei Ying hold a fire in his heart. Don't fart me, did you send that thief yesterday? Tsunade cursed. She followed Naruto's footsteps and chased, and then watched Naruto's footprints enter the Yunin village, and couldn't hold back her anger anymore, and aimed an old fist at Thunder Shadow. Lei Ying was so angry that he cursed. Lousy doesn't even know anything, you first explain the matter and then fight. Only then did Tsunade calm the anger in his heart, and angrily told Thunder Kage what had happened before. As soon as he heard that someone had deceived Tsunade and threw the basin on his head, Lei Ying was even angrier than Tsunade, turned his head and roared loudly. Did you hear it? There is actually a thief who wants to plant blame. Hurry up and catch someone for me. Huh. After not getting a response for a long time, Lei Ying couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Turning his head to look, he saw that in the Lei Ying building, 2 young people tiptoeing around were rummaging over the wall to find something, and his secretary and subordinates were all put to the ground. Thunder Kage's hair stood on end, and the furious thunder flashed on his body, pointing at Naruto and cursing. Little thief, if you can escape today, I won't call AI.